Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Kavinsky's Tutorials. Today it is my honestly really great pleasure to be looking at the new app by Bram Bos and Hainbach, which is called Gauss. And Gauss is a looper, but it is absolutely not your average looper. It has some extremely cool features, and I'm going to go into those in detail later in the video. Now, Bram Bos is one of the most respected developers for iOS. If you're an iOS musician, you certainly know who he is. Hainbach is one of my favorite YouTubers. Makes really interesting videos on music making, focusing on ambient, experimental music, using old test equipment and things like that. Now, I reviewed his app that he did with Sonic Lab called Fundamental a few months ago. If you haven't watched that video, it's well worth checking out. Great app. Now, the big difference between Gauss and Fundamental is that Gauss has been designed for iOS from the ground up. So Fundamental was a port from desktop. And you can see that here in the Gauss interface. It's just a beautiful touchscreen interface and everything works beautifully. Now, I have 5 copies of this app to give away to subscribers to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, don't worry, you can subscribe now. And all the details of what you need to do to win are in the pinned comment at the top of the YouTube comment section. So look there for the details. The winners will be announced 2 days after release of this video. If you win, I will tell you by replying to your comment in the comments section. Now, Hainbach also has a video on this, so I'll put a link to his video above. And I'll just explain quickly the structure of the tutorial today. First, I'm going to let you hear some audio examples of this. I've been on the beta for this for about a month, so I've had lots of time to play with it. It really got my creative juices going. It's absolutely a wonderful tool. So I'm going to let you hear some stuff, and then I'll do a walkthrough of the app and explain everything in detail. If you watch this video, you're not going to need to read the manual. And then I'll go through a couple of possible workflows that you might use, which will also clarify for you how different aspects of this work. Okay, so let's go to listen to some audio examples, and I'll see you again soon. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to those as much as I enjoyed making them. I've just had great fun with this. It's such a beautiful tool that makes you explore directions that I think you probably wouldn't otherwise explore. It's very cool. It's very cool. So let me just explain very quickly then what this is really is a tape looper. So in the old days, how did people make loops? Basically tie tape together at two ends, put it through a tape machine, it would just keep looping like that. So what Hainbach wants with this is something that is going to push people out of their typical looping habits. If you're someone who is used to always doing synced loops in a DAW, this might throw you out of your comfort zone, and that is very fully Hainbach's intention with this. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to maybe struggle with it a little bit. I think it's very cool, but I am glad that there are also some concessions to syncability. So here, for example, we have this sync off or on, so we can reset the loop at the start of every X number of bars. What it's not going to do though is, for example, if I change my BPM, let's say I just half this BPM, it's not going to half the pitch of this like would happen with a typical looper. So be aware of that. Let's listen to how we can use the sync. So you see now the sync is off and it's just running through its thing. Now you can see sometimes this is speeding up and slowing down, and I'll explain later why that is. So now I've synced to 1 bar. So watch this marker, you see how it's coming back? So we can use this to get synced patterns if we want, and that's really cool. Here's a 2-bar one. Beautiful. So, you know, even if you're into just straight up dance music or whatever, I think this is a tool that you could use to come up with extremely interesting loops that you could then use with your synced music, if that's what you want to do. Or you could just do things more freely. So that's really what Bram and Hainbach are trying to do with this. They're trying to take some of the freedom and the lack of control in some ways of old style tape looping, but then bring in certain aspects of sequencers and things like that so that we can add a structure, kind of take in maybe something that might be a little bit chaotic and then adding a structure to it. So it's a very interesting tool. Now, so on the left here, we have our input gain. We turn the monitor on and off, whether we want to hear what we're inputting or not. We have an overdub button. We have this 1989, which adds a kind of digital aliasing quality. And we have an undo button here, which can undo the last take that we recorded. Double tap this to erase your loop. Now, one thing I just want to mention, really, it's very wise, I think, to sometimes save things as presets when you're maybe doing overdubbing and stuff, because I personally often accidentally maybe make mistakes while overdubbing and want to undo more than one take, and you can only undo one take. So it's quite good to save things as you go along. Anything you save here, when you load these up, it's just going to be loaded exactly the way you left it. Everything. The sound is all there. All the settings are going to be the same, so that's brilliant. Now, here we come to something extremely important. So the sequencer. So let's have a listen. So you can see the sequencer is on here, and you can see this tape head is sometimes slowing down and sometimes speeding up. So this sequencer is modeled, or at least influenced by, the sequencer on the Subharmonicon. And I had never used a sequencer like this before. Bram put me on the beta for this app, And at first I was like, whoa, this is really interesting, but what the hell is this? Like, I really didn't understand it. But actually, once you understand it, it is extremely clear and it is really, really, really cool. So what we do here is we set trigger points. These triggers can send messages to these steps. So what we got here in these steps is we can pitch things up, which will also speed it up, or pitch things down. Hear that now? When this step is being activated, you'll see this light. Now it's on this step, now it's on this step, now it's on this step. So what will happen here is, you can see at the moment a trigger is being sent every bar. If I bring this in, it's now going to also start sending triggers on the half bar. If two triggers are received at the same time, it'll jump forward 2 steps. But we can come up with crazy polyrhythms if we want. And we can play with the attack and decay. This is a fast attack, slow attack, nice and smooth attack, long decay. You see how this is much more ambient-y, this is much more rhythmic. Now, we can turn these off. So now the sequencer is still moving through, but we're not getting any pitch and speed changes. Observe this marker, it is moving at a regular pace. You see here it's speeding up because it's on this step 1, right? Step 2 it slows down, step 3 it slows down, step 4 slows down. This is down an octave, this is up an octave. This is amazing fun. Now we can play with this inertia. And this will cause a slower transition when the tape changes speed. So we get these kind of dubby sounds. Now we also have a warble. It's kind of like a warp and flutter. Sorry, wow and flutter. So you can hear this is the original loop I recorded, but it was recorded, I think, at the studio. Now, watch this. First of all, we can slow things down, speed things up. If we bring things over here, then we're reversing. It's just insane fun. Now another thing we can do is use this mutate button to make some changes in the sequencer. That's something I'll let you explore on your own. Now if we put the loop button, so here the sequencer will still trigger, send information to these if these are set up, but we won't get any changes with attack and decay. So trig is the one you want to use if you want to go for these more rhythmic effects. Over here we have a filter cutoff, the amount of filter modulation, so changing the filter cutoff point. We have high pass, band pass, and low pass filter. At the moment it's on low pass, filter cutoff, filter mod. Okay, let's see. High pass. Band pass. So this is something interesting to play with when you're performing. Here we have a volume, delay amount, and delay time. So you can see the delay is really adding a lot there. You can also sync or unsync the delay. Okay, let's move on and look at an example of a workflow, how you can build something up. See you in a second. Okay, let's try one possible workflow. So first I'm just going to record in a loop. Now pay attention to a few things. I have set the loop length to maximum. That's going to be changed later when I depress record. The loop length is going to snap to whatever the length is from the time I pressed record to the time I depressed record. Another thing I want to pay attention to, I want the sequencer off to record this, although you could record it with it on, in which case the sequence would be baked into the loop. I don't want that. Another thing I'm paying attention to, overdub off. Yes, I want overdub off because I want my loop to snap properly. And also delay, I don't want any delay, so delay amount is down. I'm playing in from agonizer through black hole reverb, got a nice reverby sound there. So let me first record in one loop, then I'll cut out, I'll go and play around with something, get a few ideas, and come back and play in something else over the top. Okay. No. So I'm just, see, I made a mistake there because I didn't do my timing right. Notice how the loop length has changed. It's gone right back down. So what I'm going to do is press erase, double tap to clear on the erase button. And now I'm putting the loop length back up to max again. And now I'm going to start my recording again. now you see as soon as I pressed record there, it snapped back to the start. So first I'm going to pop out, I'm going to try and find some idea, something to play over the top of this. I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've played in some higher notes over the top. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on the sequencer. So I'm going to try 4, 8, and 16th and start with no delay. And I'm not going to put on the pitch steps yet. Put on trig to turn on the sequencer. You can see these lights are already flashing. Let's have a little listen to what that's like. Let's experiment with the sequence length. That's pretty cool. Now we can change the pitch maybe of some of these. Down a 12th and up, down an octave and up an octave is always good. We could play with the attack and decay. So this is a very long attack and decay. But I like it with the fast attack actually on this. And fast decay. Let's try some delay. No, I think because of these polyrhythms, delay is going to be too messy. So I like it like that. Let's try some warble. Try a little bit of inertia. No, prefer it without those. Let's stick a little bit of reverb on it again. Or let's try a shimmer. So, I mean, when it comes to adding effects on the world's your oyster, I mean, you could experiment with that stuff all day long. All right, let's move on. So, there are just a couple of little things that I want to try and clarify before we finish. So the first one is, how do we record something for a fixed number of beats? So what we do here is tap on loop length, get beats, and then let's say I want 4 bars. I choose 16 beats. Now turn on monitor, I'm getting my input. I've got a drone from Droneo. I'm putting it through Bit Juggler, which is just giving it that lovely digital, wow, beautiful. Okay, so now I'll press record, and it's going to record a 16-beat loop. So you see now this is just all in Gauss. Now you can see there's a little clicky thing. So what we can do here is do a little bit of overdubbing. So I'm going to press record again when it gets near the end and just overdub that last part. I'll just do a couple of passes, why not? It's a drone anyway. Okay. So now let's look at the sequencer. So you see here, it's just sending one trigger to the sequencer every quarter beat. Again, with the attack and decay, we can have very short attack and decay. That'll be more rhythmic. With a slow attack and decay, with this drone, we won't even notice that. So let's keep it short. Now, We're not sending any pitch things. All we're doing is putting an envelope using the attack and decay every quarter beat. Now we start to bring in pitch changes. So every 4 beats, it's going to do one low beat that's down an octave lower than the others. Now it's going to do lower, higher, and then 2 normal ones. Let's bring in more triggers. Let's try a mutation. Inertia. So you see here, it's like we're getting pitch bends. See the difference between warble and inertia? Delay. With loop, we're still getting the speeding up and slowing down as the triggers go through to the pitched steps, but we're not getting any envelope. So that's the difference between trig and loop. So, I hope that makes the sequencer a little bit clearer. It is one of those apps that, I mean, now that you've watched this video, I'm sure hopefully you understand it very well. Definitely it took me a while to figure out a few things about the sequencer and the difference between trig and loop and things like that. What a cool tool though. I mean, really, it's so much fun. As you can see from the loops that I played you earlier that I've made, you can do a lot of stuff. Personally, I love piano on it. Love piano going through a reverb and then into this. It's just beautiful. It's really, really great for experimental stuff, but we can also, as I showed you earlier, do that sync thing. You know, don't forget this. If you like synced stuff, here, setting the syncs to send the loop back every X number of bars is just something that can make this, I think, a really, really, really interesting tool in the arsenal of any musician, no matter how experimental or how mainstream. This is really cool with vocals as well, just sitting down, layering vocals. all kinds of stuff you can do. It's beautiful. Remember that setting the loop length will allow us also to set loops of fixed lengths that can sync with the DAW, so that's pretty good. But what you can't do is, for example, sync your record to just automatically start on the first beat of a bar. You're going to have to always manually press the record button. But if you have, whatever 8 beats here, at least it will turn itself off 8 beats later. So it is possible to record percussive stuff into it. That's definitely something that you can do. I'll show you that just now, actually. So here we have drum computer. So let's just go in here, and first of all, let's set 16 beats. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Record. So now the monitor is off. We're just listening to Gauss. Right, so we can record a rhythmic percussive beat synced by beats if we want. So endless hours of fun, man. What a tool, what a tool. Listen, everybody, I don't want to keep you any longer. If you enjoyed this video, please do give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I usually bring out 2 or 3 videos a week. I usually have free copies of apps to give away. Again, the details of how to win one of 5 copies of this app are all available in the comment section, in the pinned comment right at the top of the YouTube comment section. I can't reply to every comment usually these days. There are a lot of comments sometimes, and I think this will be quite a popular release, but I'll try and reply to some of them for sure. And definitely every comment will be counted when it comes to doing the draw. If you write an interesting comment, that's more likely to get a reply, or question. If you ask a question, I usually try and reply to that. Even if I don't know the answer, I'll try and refer you somewhere where you might be able to find the answer. All right, everyone, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And thanks to Hainbach and Bram for really such a cool tool. This is one of my apps of the year, I suspect. I've been using it a lot, and I still feel I've only started scratching the surface of all the cool stuff that this can do. So interesting. Yeah, the sequencer is absolutely brilliant. All right, everyone, I'll see you next time. Take care.